I mean, I,
So
I mean, obviously they're professional, and you know that they've done this before. So I can only imagine, like, from the first time that they did a live show to even now, because believe that they're still on tour. You can tell how they streamline each
and you
podcast.
can see what they bring to the table of their podcast too.
Hmm.
So it's like a melting pot of like their ideas and their concept and their ways, and it just put into one big thing.
Yeah. Girl, it's easy to love me now.
Woo!
Would you love me if I was down and out? Would you still have love for me, girl? It's easy, love me now.
Mm,
Would you love me if I was down and out? Would you still have love for me? Could you love me in a Bentley? Could you
Bay,
love me on the bus?
bay,
I asked 21
bay,
questions, and they all about us.
bay.
Yes,
No, we're not doing this.
but I really
Uh
do need to.
uh
No, but I need to know if you're gonna love me
uh
on the
uh
Bentley or on the bus.
uh.
Mm,
We got a show to do.
You gonna answer that question later.
Why do you need to ask me that question if I've been down with you? I was shooting with you in the gym and all that.
You right. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, your story checks out. Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the You Stuck With Me podcast.
you stuck. You stuck with me.
This is your boy Marquis,
And this is your one and only your favorite Taylor.
and we're about to take you through an interesting episode because we did a lot last weekend.
Man, networking at its finest. And also numerous of dates.
We had like what?
We have 4 dates in a span of 2 days.
Yep. So a 2-for-1 deal.
But we're going to talk about one of these dates right now.
So the date that we're talking about last week, we went to go see Tonight's Conversation, other fellow podcasters.
Can we just talk? Can we just talk? Talk about where we're going.
Before we
Get
get lost.
Let me get lost.
I'm just gonna let you have that one. No, but we went to go see Tonight's Conversation, and they did not disappoint.
At all. And it was a lot of good questions.
Yeah, which is why we came up with the song 21 Questions.
Yes. Okay, so look, we got to start out with one of my favorite questions.
Okay.
One of my favorite questions that hit home was one of the young ladies. She came up and she asked. Her question was, how can she support her? First of all, I love the positive affirmation she used. Instead of saying my husband or my boyfriend, she said my king.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, me, how can I help support my king when he goes through trials and tribulations at his job? He feels like, so it sounds like, to sum it all up, he's in a toxic work environment, and it seems like his leadership is mainly women. So I guess it sounded like, I'm just assuming based on the contact clues, that he's in a toxic work environment where the higher leadership is all women, and it's times they use that strength in numbers of women to tear down his ideas, or put him in an uncomfortable situation where he feels like women are superior than me, right?
Right.
And I just loved how she referred to him as her king, and she said, me being his queen, how can I help him, navigate through that when he's not at work? Like, basically, what are the best ways that I can support him? And I said that hit home, because how many times I've came home from work, and as a matter of fact, I just did it to you yesterday. How many times I've come home from work and I just felt like I was just saying I was tired of all the big, I don't want to say the word, the big eggplant energy, and when really those who are higher up than me, they just have a small way of thinking. I really enjoyed that. So some of the answers that we got from that were
Very profound.
very profound. So of course, number one answer was like, leave the job. Now, granted, that's easier said than done, because today's economy,
Yeah, you just can't up and leave a job and not have a backup.
not have a backup plan or something, some idea like how you gonna sustain yourself, right? And of course, I mean, we ain't ready for that conversation yet. today's economy and society is not set up for our black and brown people to succeed the way that we need to succeed. But we're not talking about that right now.
Well, before we continue, let's break down that part because we actually went through that right before the wedding 2 years ago.
What you mean?
With your previous job, that you felt like you were not respected, undermined, nobody listened to you. And
I was not employed for real.
yeah, because after a while,
I
I was just
left.
telling you to leave, but
I left.
and you did. But the thing about it was, I was telling you that because I knew you were frustrated, but neither one of us was. We were thinking about a backup plan because at the time we were really trying to focus on the wedding.
But to give ourselves credit, once the level heads prevailed, we sat down. We was like, okay. Because the main thing I didn't want to leave at the time was because we were still paying for a wedding. And you always in that mindset that you always got to go. We got to pay. We got this. We got that. And once the stuff is done, you forget, oh, wait a minute. This is done. We don't need to worry about this no more.
Mm-hmm.
So when we finally got to a space where everything was paid for and everything was set to go, you basically asked me, what's stopping you?
Mm-hmm. And I remember we were sitting in the living room watching TV, and you just randomly blurted out the date, April 25th.
No, let's backtrack a little bit. Let's backtrack. We wasn't just randomly watching TV. We was watching service. We was doing Bedside Baptist that day.
Mm-hmm.
And shout out to Reverend Meeks, because I never forget it. He's one of the few sermons I'll never forget. He said something along the lines of, we always pray and ask God to give us direction, right? It may not come the way we expect it, but it will when the time presents itself. God will reveal that to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just sitting there listening to that. I was also on my phone too because I think I was looking at something too. April 25th popped in my head, and it just kept gnawing at my heart like April 25th, April 25th, April 25th. And I was just like, and I had to ask you like, hey, babe, we got something going on April 25th.
And I said, not that I can think of, or something to that effect.
And I was like, why does this date keep popping in my head? April 25th, April 25th. So April 25th ended up being my last day there
Mm-hmm.
at this employer. I'm not going to put them out there. At this employer, right? But also that was the same week I got the call saying that I got my new job where I'm at right now.
Mm-hmm. God works in mysterious ways.
God works in mysterious ways. And the first thing I said was, I remember I was at work. No, I actually got that call closer to my last day. And I remember I got that call. I went in the bathroom. They was like, hello, Miss Poindexter. I want to say congratulations. We offering you this job. You can start this day, this day. I was like, yes. Yes. And I remember I told you, and I was so relieved.
Yeah, because at that point you had been going through a lot. Because at one point, didn't your boss say something about calling you to come back early from?
Here was the thing. So, and this when you know when it's time to leave a toxic work environment. If you mentally feel drained, which I was at the time, I was feeling mentally drained. Then also too with that and still making sure everything is paid for a wedding. Like the stresses of planning a wedding and making sure it's paid for, that's a lot. Even we did have a wedding planner. Shout out to Ronette. She did a beautiful job. There are not enough words to thank her. But, just making sure everything goes right, the dress, tuxes, all that, right?
Right.
Then on top of that, that's when I found out I had a blood clot. So...
I think we just already told that story, though.
Yeah, we already told that story. Found out I had the blood clot. And then on top of that, so now I got all these random different specialist appointments like hematologist and all this other stuff. I got to now figure out how I'm going to make all these because I still need to go to work and make money. And I was like, you know what? My health comes first. And once I said that, my boss pulled me to the side. She was like, you've been requesting a lot of days off. Now, at the time, we wasn't married yet, so it's like I couldn't use all the resources that I had yet available to me now. So she was like, you you asking all these days off. And I was being flexible. I said, instead, I'm not asking for full days off. I just need to leave early or come in later or whatever. And she was like, you know what? You have all these days off. You don't have enough PTO to, sustain it. Even though that's a hit. That's 50% true. It's 50-50. But we'll get into that later. Excuse me. Anyway, so she was like, I would hate to ask you to come back early from your wedding. What? I would hate to ask you to come back early from your wedding to come back to work.
We need a cricket sound.
I wanted to say, bitch, what? Who does that? I mean, I'm like, you telling me this, and you sitting here with a 25K rock on your finger, like, no. I remember I told Marquis about that. He was like, it's time to go. It was time to go. So.
But back to the topic at hand.
Yeah, I didn't mean to go on a tangent like that. You can see it's still kind of a sore spot.
But. But yeah, just asking questions and, making sure that we are good and, at this, I'm trying to find the right word.
At this stage?
No, not at this stage, but at the live show.
Oh.
At the live show, they did give great perspectives, and it wasn't like a bashing session like that.
Oh, no, it was more of like empowering but also thought provoking. So let's talk about some of the responses. Oh, excuse me. So number one, so of course one of the general consensus was that he need to leave that job. But of course it was brought up, it's easier said than done to leave the job, right? So it was suggest, they have a conversation with each other. And who was it? Was it Tripp? I want to say it was Tripp.
If it wasn't Tripp, it was probably Keita Rose.
I think this one was Tripp because he was like, if you know this is something that's like conflicted with the relationship, like it's planting this seed where it's like making it uncomfortable for a space that's supposed to be safe and supposed to be a piece of relaxation, then you need to remove that problem.
Mm-hmm.
That was very profound. But then also, everybody was like, that's easier said than done, and gave suggestions like, just have that conversation. Like, what would that look like? Because, I mean, we don't know this situation. We don't know if he's the breadwinner, he's the only one working, or if she's working. Is she working full time? Is she working part time? There's a lot of factors here. So I think that was pretty cool.
And you know what? I like that profound answer because they weren't trying to just like throw solutions out there without really thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can get a question, but it's only so much that of an answer that you can give to that question without, like you said, knowing all the details. And it's just like we were talking about that with social media. You think you know something, you think you know everything just based off a minute of a video.
Yeah.
But
it leaves speculation.
Yeah, and you know what? I like how the crowd who for the people who did get up and ask questions, they weren't shy. They were very well spoken. So that also broke the stigma, at least for me, that a lot of black people are uneducated, and that's not true. We have a lot of educated people. It was a lot of educated people in that at that live show.
And what I loved that I saw was it was like audience members of all ages, like millennials to like Gen Z, boomers, yeah.
And we gotta talk about the music because the DJ was definitely dope.
Well, before that, we gotta talk about the other answer to this question.
Mm-hmm.
So I forgot who it was. They was like, well, go back to answering your question of what you can do. I like that the answer that was created was that when he's off working, when they have that, and when they in that space with just them, do things that keep his mind off of it, things that make him happy. So if you know that he likes doing this with you, like go to the movies or something like that, go to movies with him. Continue to create that environment
where it's
peace and happiness.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing that you do, you make sure I know. Well, you haven't done it in a while because life been life, and worlds reverse. You've been more busy, but when I had a long day at work, you like to set candles for me because I love bed
Bed Bath and Beyond.
Beyond Body Works and excuse me. I like those candles, and I like those Bath and Body Works candles too.
Because they usually have a nice smell to them.
Yes, stress relief, baby, my favorite.
Yeah, and this show, I would going back to the live show, I didn't really, at least for me, I didn't come in with like a certain expectation. Just I seen the clips, I'm like, okay, this looks like it's cool. Let's check it out. And but when we got there, like anything that I thought that was gonna be a little bit of corny, there was no corniness to anything. First of all, I gotta say I like how in between podcasts, the hosts they switched seats. So at one point
The panelists.
the panelists. It was 3 men, 3 women, and then it would be 4 men, 2 women, and then it would be 4 women, 2 men. I honestly like that because it shows that all the panelists are in it together. They're cohesive, and that doing a live show takes a lot of work because what they told us, we were actually in probably row 5 in the front, maybe
Yeah.
6. So the creator of tonight's conversation, shout out to Ace, he was explaining to us in between podcasts. So what they did was they did 3 different podcast episodes, but they were about 30 minutes long, similar to ours.
Mm-hmm.
So he was explaining that because the amount of people who bought tickets, they were going to be in a ballroom at the McCormick Place.
Yeah, because it was technically 2 shows. They had one early in the afternoon and the later show, which we were at. But the demand was so high for the later show.
They ended up moving to the Erie Crown Theater.
Yeah, and to the actual theater instead of a ballroom.
And that was like 4,400 people.
About 4,400, 4,500.
And they
Sold out.
So
just imagine having all those black people in there and no fight broke out.
Yeah, no fights.
Everybody just vibing and chilling, dancing.
Yeah, shout out to DJ Marquis G.
Yes.
Because he definitely kept the crowd moving.
Yes, he did.
And I like how all the panelists that they had their own podcast, but they definitely, when they come together, there are no egos. Everybody is cohesive. Everybody respects everyone's opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And they know how to have a good time, too.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
And it definitely made me think about what we want to do with our podcast. Gave me some ideas because not only for me personally, I was enjoying the podcast, the live show, but it was making me learn some things of like, okay, just noticing stuff, looking around, things of that nature.
It just made me manifest even more that we're going to do a live show.
Yeah, that's one in the plans, y'all. One day we will do a live show.
Oh, trust me, y'all would know.
Yeah, we would definitely make it known.
Yep. I just love the atmosphere of it. First of all, let's talk about how many times we was on camera there for our dances. How many times we were caught trying to do swag surfing and all that.
I mean, well, when we in the first 5 rows, you're going to get a lot of camera time.
Baby, you did not tell me one of the qualifications, well, not qualifications, one of the perks of me being your wife that we going to be in front row of stuff. The front rows of stuff. And I'm liable to be on somebody's screen or TV. You ain't tell me that. Don't give me that smile.
I mean, but you're not complaining, though.
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying you didn't tell me that. So, now that's giving me more things. Now that's giving me more reasons why I got to continue to have my hair done, have my nails done.
Yeah, I got to get my beard trimmed because I'm looking a little rough right now. But, tonight's conversation was a great atmosphere. The panelists were great. The questions were great. And we got to meet a few of them before the show. So
yeah, so if you saw our Instagram,
we took pictures with Keita Rose. She was actually the first one that we saw when we walked up to the line.
I thought it was Ace.
No, yeah, it was Ace. Ace
Yeah.
was running. He was walking around running stuff. So shout out to him for keeping everything together. Because it sounds like it was
and
a lot of work.
he is funny.
Yeah, look, the clips on social media don't do him justice
at all. He is funny in person.
Mm-hmm. So Keita Rose. Then we took picture with Ace. I think Ace was the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Then we took a picture with Trip,
Mm-hmm.
and then
We took a picture with DJ Marquis.
DJ Marquis G. And I feel like it was one more person that we took a picture with. Oh, Mike.
Yeah.
We took a picture with Mike. Mike is cool.
Yeah. All the whole atmosphere and their demeanor was just very, very chill.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
I mean, obviously they're professional, and you know that they've done this before. So I can only imagine, like, from the first time that they did a live show to even now, because believe that they're still on tour. You can tell how they streamline each podcast.
and you can see what they bring to the table of their podcast too.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a melting pot of like their ideas and their concept and their ways, and it just put into one big thing.
Yeah, it's like they took each person's talent and put it together, and not just put it together, but each person got a chance to shine,
Mm-hmm.
and each person that answered the question, each person that answered the question, you can tell that it was their answers were well thought out, very articulate, and very sound.
Yeah,
Very
I
sound
agree.
advice. But which is also funny because some of the questions that they were getting and the answers that they were giving, we say every day on this podcast, and then we were sitting with each other like, we just said that. We said that.
Which brings me, what was that one question you were telling me that you actually said on an episode of our podcast?
And Trip
About
was
being-
Trip was the one that gave the answer.
It was one about being a submission to your
Oh yeah, so
yeah.
so somebody asked, I think it was a young lady who asked him about being submissive to her husband,
Mm-hmm.
and Trip gave the answer. It was something along the lines of, and the same thing I said. Not only do you have to be submissive to your husband, but your husband has to be submissive to you.
Mm.
And I said that when he said that, I said, say it, because I definitely vibe with that answer. And like I said, or like we both said, it's an answer that I said on this podcast plenty of episodes ago. So, and that wasn't the only one. That was the main one that we can remember, though.
Yeah. Except for that one. Excuse me. I don't know what's going on my voice right now. Except for the one I just mentioned about, how to help your significant other when they coming home from a toxic work environment. But I got a bone to pick with somebody. Okay?
Is it somebody in this podcast?
No.
Okay.
Not in tonight's conversation. Someone we know. Okay? And they listen to this podcast right damn now. You know who I'm getting ready to say.
They should remain nameless.
But someone very close to you played a joke on us. Had me thinking they was there.
And they weren't.
And they weren't.
But they were definitely following.
They were definitely following us there. And
Somebody had a spy.
somebody had a spy. And I'm like, are you here? They was like, yep, I sure am. Oh, no, I had to tell them, I don't feel embarrassed that you saw me shake my ass. They was playing my songs.
It was during intermission.
Right.
Why not?
I mean, ain't my fault they was playing Shake That Monkey. Or Juvenile. Because come on now, y'all cannot act like y'all don't hear that. Don't.
I was trying not to be a Sigma there.
I was
because-
trying not to be a Zeta there too, but I was like, I'm just gonna be ratchet. So of course, we married, so I shook my ass in front of my husband, and he's like, hold me up.
I definitely did. I'm not gonna even hold y'all.
And this person who shall remain nameless, but they know who they are,
Yep.
was talking about, I saw you. Are you down here with this DJ?
And when she said his name, we were like, wait a minute.
I showed Marquis text. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, because that was wild.
So if you listening right now, I got you.
I think she did that though for two reasons. One, to let us know that somebody she knows was there. Second of all the pranks that we played on her, before we got married.
It just giving. I know it always feels like somebody's watching me.
Facts.
Vibes. Like,
But the show was great. You got to take pictures with the entire cast. Um, I would definitely go back and see them next time they were in Chicago. Because actually, we wanted to see them last year, but something happened and we couldn't.
Life happened.
Life happened. That's why we didn't get tickets the first time.
Life happened.
So yeah, I would definitely go back and see them again.
I would too. And maybe I think next time we should get the super VIPs because I want to know what was in that bag, the swag bag.
Only super VIPs will know.
Yeah, but we did come home with some of the tonight's conversation game night cards too. So our next game night will be lit
We stay getting like the new game cards at anything from
because our house is the family game night house.
Not only that, but our friends have game nights and we bring in, then everybody ends up having a good time.
I don't know. I just seem like ever since I've gotten older, I just love doing game nights.
It's always something different, but it's always fun.
It's always fun.
And we also got to talk about the good news that I received right when we were leaving. But we're gonna continue talking about tonight's conversation until we get to that point.
What good news did? Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I mean, all in all, tonight's conversation was definitely, we learned a lot, and it affirmed some of the thoughts we had about our relationship and other relationships too. And I will say this though, it taught me a different approach of how to give advice.
Agreed.
Right? Because
I
I always had this thing like I don't think I'm a good advice giver, even though I've heard different. I've been told different. I've been told that I give great advice. I give sound advice. I give it in a perspective like it's not. I'm not throwing it in your face in a negative way, but I give it to you in a way that I'm passionate about it, and I want the best for you. But it's also thought provoking.
Also, I think when you give advice, it's definitely, I'm gonna say, always proper for the moment.
And see, that's one thing I feel like I struggle with.
I think you don't give yourself enough credit. Because I've told you that you give great advice. Other people have told you give great advice. Excuse me. So.
And I appreciate and I receive it. But I mean, I don't even consider me giving advice. I just consider it, and I said this on a previous episodes too. I don't consider it giving advice. I give it in two different ways. Wait, I need to stop being childish. I give it two different ways. Okay, let me get back to adult Taylor. I give it in two different perspectives. There we go. So the first perspective is I give it in a way that I want somebody. I give it in a way that I wish somebody would have told me, right? Like when I was going through that, I wish I had somebody tell me that, and I think that would have went a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
And the second perspective I give from is I will tell you what I tell myself in that situation.
I agree with that.
And I think that's the two best practices of giving advice.
I think I agree with that. The only thing that I would add to it is if you don't know how to give advice on that particular topic, you would say, "Hey, I'm not the one that can give you the best answer."
And that is okay to do. I feel like a lot of people they don't accept the fact that it is okay to say I don't know. In some cases, I'd rather tell me you don't know than come up with some stuff out of thin air.
Yeah, because that can make the situation that they're going through already worse.
Mm-hmm. Or more complicated than what it is.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to tell them the big news?
So y'all, after we left tonight's conversation, we were in the parking lot getting ready to pull off. And I'm checking my phone and I get a text message from my mom. Lord behold, I read the text message. It's an attachment to it, so it's a picture. Look at the picture. My student loans have been, I don't know why I want to say deferred, but discharged. That's why I want to say discharged. All my student loans have been discharged, y'all. When I tell you,
he just paid Sally Mae back. Mae back.
Look, y'all.
Do you owe $100,000? Do you owe $50,000?
I just owed. But look, y'all. When I received that news and I saw that text, I started crying.
First of all, he scared the hell out of me because when he be coming out of nowhere crying, I'll be thinking something was wrong.
Nah, I had over 45,000 reasons to cry. So yeah, I was it was just tears of joy because everything that I've been through, and this was also what ties it all ties into my health journey. That everything that I've been through the last 6 or 7 years now, just to see it all come together, it made it was well worth it.
I'm really happy for you. Now you can tell Sally Mae, get your shit, get your shit, and get out.
Pretty much,
I look. I'm still working on that day.
we gonna get you there.
We are gonna get us there. Well, I am gonna get there. We gonna get there.
Hmm.
All right, basically, you want to tell them where they can find us at?
You guys can find us on IG at You Stuck With Me _podcast. You can send us sticky notes to You Stuck With Me. That is USTUCKWITME at gmail.com. You can also find us on our personal pages. You can find me on Instagram and the app formerly known as Twitter as mine_1M1NE_1. And that's the same on both platforms. You can also send us sticky notes to Facebook, You Stuck With Me podcast, and we'll definitely make sure that we read your questions that you send us.
And the Gmail.
That's in the Gmail. Also, Bae, you want to tell them where they can find you?
Well, first of all, you can also find us on we do got a Facebook page for the You Stuck With Me podcast.
Yeah, just said it.
Yeah, so that. And you can find me personally on Instagram and the app formerly known as Twitter under Queen Points. That is PO1NTZ. Again, that is Queen Points. PO1NTZ. Again, that's Queen Points. PO1NTZ. And if you want some more behind the scenes stuff before the government shut us down, you can find us on TikTok under Queen Points 22. Again, that's Queen Points 22. And this is your one and only your favorite Taylor.
Hold on, before we get to that, if you like to listen to our episodes, we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube.
Yeah, because we can't forget about the YouTube.
Mm-hmm. So, on that note, beautiful, this is your boy Marquis.
You just wanted to go first, troll. And this is your one and only and your favorite Taylor.
And we out, y'all.
Hey, come back.
You stuck with us, y'all.
You stuck.
Peace out,
You
y'all.
stuck with us. Later.